Almighty Father, Papa, now you love me so, and you know my name. I give you glory. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
You know my name, oh Daddy.
You know me, you know my name.
I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know my name. Papa, you know me.
You know me, you know my name.
Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele.
Yelele, 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 yelele.
Yeah, yeah.
Yelele, yelele, yelele.
Jesus, your love, now oh. My master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. Jesus, you said I be a picking no. Jesus, you said your love go cover me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I look around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
Abba Father,
Yeah.
you know me, you know my name.
Papa, you know my Father, you know me, you know my name.
Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
You know my name, oh Daddy.
You know my name.
I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Jesus, your love, now oh. My master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. Jesus, you said I be a picking no. Jesus, you said your love go cover me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I look around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name.
Abba Father,
Yeah.
you know me, you know my name.
Papa, you know my name, oh. Hey.
You know me, you know my name.
Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father,
You know me, you know my
Put the wrong one.
You know me, you know my name.
Thank you very much, Reverend Sama, for that reminder. And I want the Ambazonian people to know that Father knows your name and that you are a people created to live free, but you are in bondage today. He knows your name. But the biggest question I'm going to ask Ambazonians is, do you know that the Father knows you? If you do, then get ready to remember. Because when I remember that the Father knows my name, then you can now put the equation together and it is working. We have told people around the globe that the struggle of Ambazonia is different from every other struggle in the world. And so when I hear people comparing Ambazonian struggle with other countries, I just pity them because they don't know our history. And today in our history, I have something very exciting for most of you who are Ambazonians and the other people who are listening around the globe. We want to tell you that God has stepped into the system and to the struggle of Ambazonia. I want to send 21 gun salute and kudos to all our boys and women. We will call them boys. It's not that they are little children. Our men and women who have stood up to say this is never again. And unfortunately, La Republique, with their repressive language and oppressive language, is continuously radicalizing our people to stand up for the land. And that's why one of their historians, Isumba, who has been warning them and telling them to take us back into slavery of a federation that never existed, was just in name, has pleaded to deaf ears because the republic is getting to its doom. Remember, God sent Moses to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt, and God again hardened the heart of the Pharaoh of Egypt not to allow them go until he has accomplished his work. So all the enablers that we are seeing in Ambazonia, I want to tell Ambazonians not to be shocked and not to be kind of, how do I call it, intimidated, because God is doing a work. As soon as this, our revolution, was handed over into the hands of God, the instruments of the world who understand and they are tied to one demonic organization and one demonic control cannot do exactly what God wants them to do. Because if you are not free, you cannot set another person free. So only those who are free can make others to be free. And Ambazonia is free. And I want to thank the President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, in the person of Dr. Samuel Sako Ekome, for the institutions he has put in place. And all these institutions are shouting out clear and very, very audible that Ambazonia is a nation. We have the national anthem. We have the governmental structures. You know, you have the interim House of Representatives. You have the cabinet of the presidency. You have the judicial system. You have the ethics commission. And so on and so forth. The local government areas, the counties, the zones, and the name of the country. All these are indication that Ambazonia is a country that has not been created by Dr. Sako or his predecessor, Ayuk Tabe, but that it is a restored state that has been existing for a very long time. And some people around the world, they understand it and they know it. Why are they so slow to bring out the real thing and stop people from killing? It's because there is a gain of function with most of them. What they are doing, there is a profit. I heard some people saying that a number of our defected and defunct fighters, as well as some of them who were in the institutions that were created by Dr. Sako, did not want this war and don't want this war to come to an end because there is a gain, there is a profit. Ambazonians, know your history and know where you are going and what you are following. Now, the interim government is out to give you systems and put in place infrastructures or structures that will make you to get into Ambazonia and not remain in the blues. There are people who don't believe in the future. But the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, together with his cabinet and everyone that is in the institutions that he has created, is working towards the future of Ambazonia. And we don't want to get in there and be blank. I've heard people saying you don't have a country, you have a virtual country, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, dear friends, you are mistaken. I learned the 5 P's in school. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So proper preparation prevents poor performance was the adage I learned in school. So if we want to go into Ambazonia and you don't have a proper preparation to prevent poor performance, then at the end of the day, you end up like any other country in the world, especially in Africa. Those African countries that are not independent, that are being controlled by the European system. One of these days, I'm going to play openly here a system that was put in place by some Europeans talking to themselves how they must keep Africa under servitude so that we cannot develop. And that's why they bring in dictators and then take out dictators. When a dictator is about to see the change for his people and open their eyes, these imperialists, they quickly take that dictator out, either by planning a coup or by killing that individual. And it has been happening in Africa. The day Africans will get up and refuse to be selfish and refuse to kill themselves, then these people will sit up. And the Africans cannot sit up and do what they're supposed to do, except the God of heaven, who is now the God of Ambazonia, steps into their hearts and they speak with one language. Time will fail me to go into other wranglings. But in our history today, I want to tell some of us something that we did not know. It is not written, or maybe it's written and we are not privileged to that. But remember that most of us, in our time, we grew up with verbal history, where parents will sit around the fireside and then either they are burning cocoyam or burning plantain or burning corn, and then they'll be telling the fairy tales, which are real. And today, we always go with documentation. Now, I was told, at that time I was alive, that when Ahidjo, being the stooge of France to put us into slavery, the Ambazonian people especially, because already all the French territories in Africa are under servitude. Yeah, and when Ahidjo was picked up in place of, who is this man? Is it Bida? Yeah, I think so. One of the persons who was very close to making Africa, making La République Cameroon a different country altogether, he was taken away and the stooge Ahidjo was brought in. Yeah, what is this man's name? Okay, if somebody can remember that name, please. You just let me know. He's a popular name in La République de Cameroon, but it is not, his history is not known because the French people removed him when they saw that he was not going to carry out the assignment of France. So they removed him and brought in brought in Ahidjo. When Ahidjo came, he discovered that the powers that be, since they were not fully into God, they decided to, Jean-Marie Bida, that's correct. Thank you very much, listener. Jean-Marie Bida was to be the first president of La République du Cameroon, but he was not going to serve the interests of France. And so he was put aside. And this Ngenako, this cow man, was brought in. I'm sorry, that's not an insult. Ngenako is a job, is a business. Yeah, and you know, So he was brought in to play the role of, okay, somebody say Jean-Marie Bida, somebody say André Bida. Okay, I don't know which one is which, but I think that one of the Bidas is Mbida, okay? All right, okay, let's see. Now, when Ahidjo was in place, he discovered that demonic powers can quickly do something in the present. And what did he do? Immediately he contracted a witch doctor in Senegal. I am told, or it is a rumored, because you see, in AMBA TV, we want to be very certain. And especially when we are talking about history, we don't want just to speculate. Yeah, I was told that in 1966, Ahidjo, of course, together with Paul Biya, they contracted this witch doctor in Senegal, and they sent a white horse that was demonically presented to the altar, initiated to demons. And this horse, when it arrived Yaoundé, it was buried alive in the formal presidency that is in the center of the town where Ahidjo was living. And this contract was for 50 years. And for 50 years, all of us who are in the Ambazonia, southern Cameroons, we can see the oppression of La République de Cameroon to our system and to us in the southern Cameroons. They had just annexed us when their soldiers came in on the 30th of September and took over every place with a Calais before the 1st of October. So it is something that they have been doing, and they continue doing it. Well, we thank God that we are in the days that our eyes are open and we are not going to continue in that mess. So these 50 years, La République, if you go down to the history of La République, you will see that they quelled every uprising, whether it was legal or illegal. They quelled it, and it worked. Because that sacrifice of the horse and so many other young virgins and ladies who were sacrificed in Yaoundé, most of them coming from the southern Cameroons, as they went for studies there, they were adding up to this sacrifice. And so in 2016, which made exactly 50 years, the uprising of the teachers and the lawyers was not like the uprising of the political figures that had come up and they were quelled. But at this time, La République was finding it very difficult to actually quell down what is going on. And it came to their mind that there was a covenant, an agreement, a demonic kind of a treaty that they had signed with a native doctor. Amongst all the people who are still alive, Paul Biya was one of them who witnessed that show of demonic handing over of La République du Cameroon to the demons. And he remembered that the contract was ending in 50 years. And 2016, being the 50th year, he quickly sent somebody to go back to Senegal and to find out about the witch doctor. And when he got there, I'm told the witch doctor had died because there is no God in this world that can live forever. So the greatest of native doctors that is giving you power today, you call it, he's going to die. And when he dies, that is your end. But guess what? Jesus never dies. Our God never dies. And that is why Ambazonia, former British Southern Cameroons, has decided and chosen the way of God to sacrifice, to enter into a covenant, to enter into an agreement with God Almighty, not with the little demons that hang around. And that's why we are still continuing today. 5-6 years counting, La République has done all the gymnastics, invented more ways to see that they dissuade the Ambazonian people from continuing as they had done it before. It didn't work. The demons can work on people who don't know God. A man like Frundi, we thought that he was a Christian with all his religious appearance. When he won the election, if he had actually handed over to God Almighty, the battle would have ended up him getting that position. But because he went in also into the fraternal and metaphysic and all the demonic societies, to compete, it's an old devil is far more experienced than a young demon. That's why Paul Biya can come out very openly and then insult him that with you petit sorcier. Yes, that little sorcerers or little demons. Because he knew where he was standing and he knew where Frundi was putting his head. Some of us were ignorantly following him, praying in the house and doing all kinds of things, thinking that this was a Christian and blah, blah, blah. But today, with what is happening, we cannot distinguish who is a Christian and who is a religious person. And 3/4 of the people that are trying to fight for the freedom of other people are just religious people. And that's why it doesn't work. Now, for the past 4 years, all the people who are religious and those who are also in a demonic organized deal have done everything to put President Sako down. They have used blackmail. It has not worked. They have used lies. It has not worked. They have brought all kinds of theories and conspiracies. It has not worked. And we can hear them crying aloud because the Republic has understood that this is the man that is standing on the way, the Moses in the land of Egypt, and the 10 plagues are there. Ambazonians, listen. Ambazonians, listen to me. I'm talking our history. Only those who stand on the righteous side can continue. Now, when God sent Moses to Egypt, the Bible says God hardened the heart of Pharaoh not to let the Egyptians go. And many Egyptians used this opportunity to afflict the Israelites. They got them well beaten, increased their task, punished them for not doing anything wrong, just like what La Republic is doing to Ambazonia, killing the innocent people who are defenseless, who cannot even afford for themselves, killing little babies, killing old people in their homes. That is exactly history repeating itself in Ambazonia. But many Ambazonians don't know. Unfortunately, the mixed multitude that came with Ambazonia has caused us much headache. I'm going to invite one of our pastors who is speaking from home front to tell us a bit here of what is going on. Ambazonians, our history is well and alive, and it is history that I want every Ambazonian to listen. So if you are listening to me and you have not shared this link, please, better do. It's likely you are depriving your fellow Ambazonian to know where to stand. We have told you, and will continue to tell you, that as far as Ambazonia is concerned and ABC is concerned, we are here to give you the truth. And when we come to tell you the truth, we'll make sure that we do our findings and come out with something that is substantial, that you can get it tomorrow and you can make it tomorrow. I would like you to listen to this piece of history from this seasoned servant of God in this revolution, in this our struggle. He is actually in home front. And when he called me and sent me this piece of information, I promised that I was going to make Ambazonian people listen to it. Please, I beg you, share this link now, because this piece of information I want to give you is something that most of us have never heard, but it is the truth. I have a figment of what he is saying because I saw and I worked in marketing board. I used to leave my village during holiday and I'll go to Njinicom and pick coffee in the marketing board. And at the end of the day, they will give me a little money for my pocket allowance when I'm going back to school. But listen to what happened to that marketing board. Hello, Pa, are you there? All right, come in and tell us a bit. Now listen.
We read it and we were taught. So I'll look for those things as I promised, and I'll continue to furnish you. Especially, I'll look for the pictures, the Endelis cabinet, 1958. It's in a book there. They will picture it. They will send it to WhatsApp. You get it there. Then you show it. Okay, good day and bye for now.
Oh boy, sorry. That's the wrong one. Okay.
Pastor Commando, good morning.
All right, this is
Yes, I promised to
the
furnish
history.
you
So
with certain information concerning the Amazonian history. You know, often I've been hearing a Secretary of State, Dr. Mungwa, just mentioning other companies. She's not mentioning marketing board. And I was a member of staff of marketing board, 70 Kumba. So let me give you this information. Marketing board paid bonuses to all farmers in the Cameroon, amounting to several millions. Marketing board bought 3 ships, Kam Azobe, Iroko, and Bobinga. Those were the 3 ships. Marketing board for the government to use in trading and so on. They were carrying the goods of cocoa, coffee, and so on from marketing board and moving around the world, and then carrying the goods for CDC and other corporations. Then, marketing board by almost 1980 bought an aeroplane named the Pelican, a presidential plane for the country. The marketing board was financing the treasury with lump sums of money. The national treasury giving billions and paying the billions using it to pay salaries for civil servants several years. Then, marketing board had a fund in overseas stabilization fund with about 650 billion, which has not been accounted for up to now. Marketing board had an office in Paris, and the workers who were working there were Cameroonian from the very tribe, the Bulu Petit tribe, giving an extra salary paid to them abroad. So there were a lot of things. And then marketing board financed other state institutions like BISEC, Cameroon Bank, and UCAO, and other cooperatives and so on. I'll find the list again, I'll inform you. That is other thing. Then, going back to the Cameroon history, Foncha was not a member of the breakaway cabinet in Nigeria. Foncha's name started emerging from 1959 when he won the election, or before the election during the campaigns. I told you that Foncha was a secretary, a private secretary to Dr. Ndeli in 1952. He stole all the documents and decided to form his own party. By that time, 1958, Foncha started to form his own party. And somewhere from the Ministry of Information, Lagos, to the Information Service, we had classified documents where the British government had written a secret letter through J.O. Fields, Commissioner J.O. Fields in Boya, that Ndeli should not go for an election. He should hold the election since he was preparing the country for full independence. And that is why Kwame Nkrumah had his independence by March 1958. By December something 1958, or November something 1958, Kwame Nkrumah came to Cameroon, landed in Tico Airport and met Dr. Ndeli. They went to State House in Boya, and he privately told him that he should not go for election. Instead, he should start mobilizing and train his people, the army, the police, the customs, and the water, and everything. But Ndeli, I don't know what even befell him. He decided to go for an election, which the very classified documents told us that by 1959, Foncha had made contact with La Republique secretly, since he was a young man. But I have the extracts of the publisher, Dr. Sita. Batista, the publisher. You see Ndeli's cabinet there. I'm trying to figure it out to bring it just so that they picture it, and I will get the picture through WhatsApp. For now, I rest my case.
Okay.
Wow, Balionga, thank you so very much. This is a very important.
Thank you very much, Leonga. We have heard, and I think that those who have ears to hear, let them hear. This is a brief of the history of Ambazonia, the history of our betrayal, the history of our impediments, the history of our being in slavery today. Now, it is just in a nutshell, but Paul will be giving us and furnishing us with all this history. And if you are an Ambazonian and there is a way to get history of Cameroon by SN Tita, please, I beg, try to get it and then let me have a copy. Yeah, Pa is saying that some of these things are in that history. And that is why La République du Cameroon made sure that they took away all these historical facts so that we should not know. Number one, we know that at that time, 1958, Nkrumah was pro-communist. And so the imperialistic and capitalistic countries around Europe did not want communism to spread in Africa. And so anybody who was kind of joining himself to any country that was pro-communist became a taboo. And one of the reasons that people have been saying that Southern Cameroons was refused this independence by France and other people is because they saw the alienation of Ambazonia to Ghana, which was Nkrumah. How do you call it? Nkrumah. Okay, yeah. So when it came to the time of our election, as he mentioned there, the overseer for our country, J.O. Fields, advised Dr. Ndele. By this time, Foncha has stolen all the articles of politics and so on, and they formed his own. And they contacted La République du Cameroon before or without the knowledge of Ndele. I don't know whether Ndele knew about it. Because when people are saying, oh, these people are fighting, this was the same thing that was going on at that time with our people. But because social media was not, some of these things were looking like classified. But there was this division. People did not agree. Ndele was going his own way. As I'm told, Ndele never really wanted our joining with La République du Cameroon. There are a lot of historians who are listening to me. If I'm not straight, I am open to correction because that is what the AMBA TV of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, we need to tell the truth. Where we made mistakes, we need to be corrected. And in fact, the story is a long story, and we shall continue with it. Now, why I brought up the expiring date of the burying of the horse before we jump into the activities of Ndele and Foncha, this was actually before the burying of the horse. So when the horse was buried, that was when La République had a mastery over us, because we do not have the kind of demonic native doctor that they had, and we do not have the God Almighty that we have today, because you cannot serve two masters. You are either for God or you are for the devil. And religious people have made it in such a way that when you are for God, they mock you and they do all things to make sure that you are intimidated, to make sure that you get disgrace and you drop your stance with God. No, Ambazonians, we will not do it. We are standing for the true God, not the fictitious religious God that a number of people are trying to represent. They wear clerical collars, but they are wolves in sheep clothing, selling their own people. If at all they are the people of Ambazonia. You know, yesterday, the Secretary of State for Communication for Ambazonia, Dr. Mungwa, came out with an announcement to our fighters, warning them that this demonic activity of La Republic of Cameroon has not ended. They have gone round, and they have discovered that they can still go back to that demonic activities and will paralyze us and will not go anywhere. Because if you are not for God, you must be for the devil. There is no middle ground policy. No. You are either on God's side or you are on the devil's side. And the Secretary of State for Communications advised the Ambazonian restoration fighters, the true ones, say, hey, please be careful. Money has been initiated, not only poison, but has been initiated. And there are demonic spirits behind that paper. Remember, the Bible calls money the god of this world, mammon, because people can even kill others, kill their mothers, kill their children, kill their wives, kill their husbands, kill their friends, kill their uncles, kill their aunties, kill their nephews, kill their all kinds of people in order to make this money. And so money becomes the next god to a lot of people. To some people, the money is the first god. And that's why they kill and kill and kill and kill. So Ambazonians, I'm here to tell you, to advise our people not to take money from any strange person. It doesn't matter how big or small. We already know a number of people who have lined up and they have been killing our people. You have been hearing their names all over the place. Somebody called me from home front and rebuked me and reprimanded me and said a number of things. Oh, pastor, I think you are a pastor. You are a man of God. You are supposed to bring peace, but you are fueling the fire and blah, blah, and said all kinds of things. And I just asked him a simple question. My dear brother, yes, I'm open to correction. And that is what the average Ambazonian should be. How do I bring peace? And how do I bring these parties together? Can you help me? When you actually know that this man is going to Yaoundé and this other person is going to Boya, and then you want us to come together in the same ship, can you tell me the magic or the miracle, since you are God's child and you know God? Because some of us, we are still learning. Yes, you are the one who calls me pastor. I know I'm a child of God, just like you are. So if you know a magic or a miracle that we can put together to bring people who are going to Yaoundé and people who are going to Boya into the same bus, then you tell us. I'll be one of the persons to adore it and follow you to that place. Listen, my dear friends, the only direction and light we have in this world, it is what is written. And it is written, by their fruits you shall know them. By their activities, by their actions, by what they do and what they carry out, you shall know them. Not by speeches. Any man can make a speech. Anybody can talk. Anybody can shout. But that's not the answer. The answer is in the action that you take on home front. And I want to ask this, my friend, who rebuked me. My dear brother, we contribute money. We give to people whom their people have elected to be local government chairmen. They take the money. They disappear with it. They point a finger to Dr. Sako, to whom the money is not even given, and they disappear. They come out there to say another narrative. How do we reconcile when the money is with the people that don't fear God? and they point a finger to an innocent person who doesn't even know how much money they have received. My brother, you are a servant of God, and maybe you are put in a position that is more than me. Can you help me how we can reconcile with people who have taken money and they are pointing finger to a wrong person? Money was given to the chairperson and the so-called defense person of FACO to stop CAN, to stop all the games. The money disappeared. And now they are pointing fingers and asking Sako what happened in Boya. When you are given money to carry action and then the money disappears, you go to ask somebody. That is 135,000 that we are always talking about, was given for marshals, for the Ambazonian people. It also disappeared. And they classified it. The day Dr. Sako disclassified that particular system, that's when we started hearing that they were scammed. But they are the very people who are pointing fingers that Dr. Sako did not do anything. My dear brother, you want this man to ask God to throw money from heaven to sponsor the war? Or what are you talking about? This is the very Dr. Sako who came up and said there should be draft. And these people came and said no drafting. And tomorrow they will be the very first people to ask questions. Where is the money of the draft? Can you see the evil that is going on in the world? I want to borrow a statement I heard from a social media. From this man, very popular in La Republique social medias. Either is he called Prophet AMBA or Apostle AMBA or whatever thing. I've heard they call him one religious name like that. The man made a statement a few days ago, and I was so touched. And I said, this is God speaking. Because man can speak, but some of the words that he's speaking, God can pass through and say some things that are very relevant. He said that if you look at the history of Africa and why there are wars in Africa, is because Africa has remained one of the only nations that hate itself. If you see the longest presidents that stay in Africa, they are dictators. Dictators put there by the imperialist. And then you quote an example of Idris, who recently was killed after they framed him up in Chad. In one of the interviews, he actually told the entire world that France is the one that told him to change the constitution of Chad so that he can remain in power. And when he now saw that he wanted to bring light to his people, they framed him up and killed him. Guess what? Macron was one of the first presidents that flew into Chad before other African presidents. Can you imagine that? Does not tell you something? And he went ahead to mention a number of people who stood for their people and were killed by their own people. He mentioned Thomas Sankara, of course, with Blaise Compaoré, which you know all. He mentioned Gaddafi, and he mentioned Magufuli of Tanzania, who recently went because he refused to adhere to some of the things that these imperialists are talking about. Hey, Ambazonians, Africans, I want to tell you, your gods have failed you. Most of the Europeans that you mistakenly take and think that Jesus was a white man and that they are the people of that God is a white man, you are very, very mistaken. Very much mistaken. They do not in any way represent God. Some of them are worse than you Africans. Those who use the name of God to trade on human beings, contrary to the will of God. I was told that during the slave trade, there was a ship sent from Britain by Queen Elizabeth called the Jesus ship, which came and carried slaves. Can you imagine that? Now people can pervert what God has put in place and make people to refuse God. That's why I encourage Ambazonians to read the Bible. Hebrews said, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. It was not a white man that died for you. It was Jesus. And I say it again. God is not a white man. If you want me to let you know, I will let you know that the Tower of Babel was in Africa. The Garden of Egypt is in Europe. I mean, the Garden of Eden is between Africa and where we are. So I want to let you know that we are fighting a war because of sin, not really because of what these fellows are calling dirty politics and other things like that. It is an existential war that started right in the heavenlies, and we must fight it to the end. I hear one historian is trying to call. Please just go ahead and call in, and we'll share in your views. You have called 2 times, so I will pick you up now as we talk into the studios. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not want to go further. There are so many things in the cupboard. By the grace of God, tomorrow I shall be coming up with an Ambazonian history that every one of you would like to listen. But before we go, I just want you to listen to this particular American who declared that Ambazonians, as well as any other people in the world, have the right for self-determination. Hey, technician, if you are there, can you go ahead and play it for us? That history. While the technician is putting his things together, let me see here. Okay. Are you there, sir? Okay, let's listen to this.
The issue on the Anglophone piece, I won't go into detail on that. I think the article plus the video this morning did a very good job of explaining the history of how it got to the point where we are today. In October of 2017, when it came kind of to a head, the Anglophone states said we want to actually form our own state, the Ambazonia state. There have been issues there with atrocities, issues with allegations of law of war issues, and this is something that brings all this to a head. Over the last several months or so, the State Department has put on hold several security force assistance programs. Right before the election in October, I, with the ambassador, went and paid a visit with President Biya, and we had a very direct conversation with him with regards to investigation of these atrocities, transparency of these atrocities, and appropriate battlefield behavior. Since that time, the State Department has made a decision not to allocate significant money, but at the same time, they've released some money that's been on hold to things like Scan Eagle and Cessna aircraft that assist in the Boko Haram fight in the north. We still have programs that we continue with them, all kind of small engagements as well as exercises. We did have, we talked about the state partnership program with Nebraska. We put that on hold, and in conjunction with the ambassador, AFRICOM, we decided not to pursue that because it wouldn't have been a good place for that particular group to be, so we put a halt to that. So the bottom line is right now in Cameroon, they have been a good partner with us counterterrorism-wise, but you can't neglect the fact that they have there are alleged atrocities and what's going on there. And so we continue to take our cues from the State Department and from the ambassador, and our level of engagement will continue, but not get out ahead of what the State Department would say is if we have to take other actions. We were very emphatic with President Biya that the behavior of his troops, the lack of transparency, could have a significant impact on our ability to work with them.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that reassurance from America. You see, the man has a lot of medals on his chest. That's to show that he is not an ordinary person. And the entire world know that Ambazonia is a country that's supposed to be free. and that we are just under this bondage because of France. They know that it is France. France has held Africa in bondage. And many of these people who can do something, I do not know whether the agreement, the pact they signed is the one that they can never break. But then Jesus has set Ambazonia free, and we must be free. While the people are all coming out and saying that we condemn, we condemn, we condemn, we condemn, the time has passed for us to sit down and be waiting for condemn and condemn and condemn. We want action. And that's why we have taken the action. So, Ambazonian people, I want to let you know that this struggle is on course. And if you know the history of France, France has never won any war. Even within the nations around him, they have never won any war. You know the story of Napoleon Bonaparte. You know the story of Voltaire and the other figures in France, where they tried to capture some lands and it wasn't possible. So they have carried this, their tradition of deceit and lying, and has poisoned every nation in the world. And they deceived the people to sign a contract with them. Like now, they cannot speak because they have already signed a contract. You remember the story of Joshua and the Amalek that came very close and signed a contract telling them that they were coming from very far. And when they turned around, they discovered that they were just their neighbors. And because of contract and conscience and what God has told them not to do, when you make a vow, you must keep the vow, they did not kill the people. And that's why we had a number of people that we infiltrated into the land of Israel because of this trickery. And this is what France really did to many European countries and some other countries around the globe, to sign a contract of agreement with them. Not what we call non-interference. And that's what is going on. But when they came to Africa, they had 11 departments, or what do you call it? 11 articles of contracts that they signed in the 50s, principally 58 and 59, when they knew that they were going to be asked by the UN to release the African countries to themselves. But they have never released the African countries. That is why down the road, over 60 years, Africans are still in the bondage and slavery of France. But let me tell you, Africans, you are in slavery as France has put you, and France is also in slavery because he who is in who keeps a slave must be the guardian of the slave. And so where the slave goes, there you go. We used to say that all warders are semi-prisoners. Yeah, so France is also a prisoner, and all of us, except you single out yourself, you are a prisoner in this life. And until Jesus gets into you, you will never be able to actually get into doing what you're supposed to do. And so for that reason, I am telling you, all the Ambazonian people, get ready, because your freedom is soon coming. And because your freedom is soon coming, I would like to crave your indulgence to make up your mind, come in here with us in the studios of ABC and listen to what we are telling you, because this is where your freedom will come. Yeah, Jesus has given some of us in Ambazonia freedom, and that is why some of us are talking the way we are talking, because we know where we are coming from. So, because we know where we are coming from, that is why we are encouraging you to hand over your life to Jesus Christ. When you hand over your life to Jesus, the slavery of man may not have much to do with you, because your soul is saved. And the peace that Jesus gives is more than any peace that you can get from anybody in this life. So I want to plead with you, get ready, listen to us in AMBA TV every day, 5 p.m. AMBA time to 6 p.m. AMBA time. We will be bringing to you these tidbits as the days go by. Our history is a rich history. Though it is sad, but we know that joy is coming very shortly. And if you don't know Jesus, and you know another God, my friend, you're wasting time. It is time to stand up for him and to lift up your voice and your hands and your head for him. Jesus is Lord. All right, with that note, we come to the end of this emission today. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow with greater history. I'm going to be talking, there are some certain things that you have not heard, which I might be bringing to you possibly tomorrow. Let me just see the topic that I may bring to you tomorrow. And you need to tell other people to come and sit down and listen. Yeah, it is 10 reasons, or the 10 Endele prophecies of 1961. Endele spoke some things, 10 of them in 1961. And today is 2022. That is exactly 61 years ago that he spoke. And these prophecies, or 10 predictions, they are coming to pass. So I will make a date with you to share some of these things tomorrow. A final word to our defense team on home front. Not everybody that carries a ammunition at home front is fighting for the liberation of Ambazonia. You must know where you are coming from. LGA, county, zone. You must know your house, where you are coming from. I've heard some people call me here and say, we just want to fight for the freedom of Ambazonia. My dear friend, if you don't have a house, when you finish fighting, where are you going to enter? We will not allow those kind of militias. If you want to work to defend your country, go into your local government. Thank God the president, Dr. Sako, has set up these institutions and they are still working. Even though some of the people who have run out from under this interim government created their own groups, they are still using the appellations that were created by this interim government. That's why the interim government remains to be a mother and will tell you things that are real and that are existing, that they can be found out. We are not interested in propaganda here. We are not interested in stories. You see that sometimes we really restrain ourselves from calling some names because they are irrelevant. And when you call them continuously, you are making a mistake. So today I want Ambazonians to know that there was an inspiration day of the juju, or the how do you call it in Africa? We call it juju in Africa, in my village. The charm, yeah, or the hypnotic spirit, or the hypnotic mechanism that France used through Ahijo, and Ahijo added his own to subjugate and suppress the people of Ambazonia. It came to an end in 2016. And that's why any uprising cannot just get a quelling like that. There are people who are willing to sacrifice. But do you know that it's still partially working in La République du Cameroon? Oh yes, I won't tell you that, because I'm a historian for Ambazonian people, not for La République du Cameroon. Their story is smelling. The story of Ambazonia is sweet to hear, so that you can get up and know that you are fighting for something that had existed before. It's not a new institution. Yeah, all right. With that, we want to call our brother, Reverend Sama, to tell us how Abba Father knows our name. And when he tells us, I don't know if we can get, when I remember. If you cannot remember, tomorrow I will remind you to remember. But before then, Reverend Sama, please,
Almighty Father, Papa, now you love me so, and you know